Democrats are trying to destroy the suburbs. This may sound inflammatory or extreme, but it is just the facts. We saw the rhetoric about the suburbs that surrounded the McCloskeys, the Illinois couple that received national attention after defending their home by using firearms to ward off potential rioters. But that rhetoric has turned to reality in California, and perhaps soon the rest of the nation. It often seems like conservative media focuses too much on California, but this is not without good cause. The left likes to call California a bellwether for the rest of the nation, but this is a malicious half-truth that we can't let them get away with. The reality is that the radical left uses California as a laboratory for radical policies that it can attempt to export across the United States. In that state, top-down policies dictating from a far-off capital exactly how many houses should be squeezed into a neighborhood, policies that affect cities big and small, have been forced upon unwilling communities. Huntington Beach, not wanting to be transformed into an urban wasteland resembling its neighbors to the north in Los Angeles County, resisted density orders and looked to be fighting a losing battle in court. Make no mistake, these are policies that could radically change your community. Hundreds, even thousands of units added to relatively small cities with little to no value given to historicity or beauty. And this won't stop in California, the great laboratory of the Golden State. It has already spread beyond the Wild West, east to Arizona, and north to Washington, from Virginia to Connecticut. The Democrats are coming after your suburbs. And if you need any more proof that these insidious policies designed to warp the very places that we call home are set to go nationwide, Joe Biden has embraced high-density housing as a part of his national platform. One of his potential picks for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, Diane Yentl, heads an organization that praised California's community-altering legislation, saying that it, quote, did not go far enough. In case the mainstream media had somehow convinced you that Biden was a moderate or centrist, his plans go even further than the radicals in California had been prepared to do. Assemblyman Scott Wiener, author of SB 35, the Radical California High-Density Housing Bill, has been trying and failing to pass an even more radical bill, SB 50, that would allow the state to overrule local zoning protecting single-family resident zones, or, as you and I know them, suburbs. But even in radical California, this bill is having trouble getting full support. But Assemblyman Wiener may not need to worry about this for long, as a version of his bill may be enacted under a potential Biden administration. Biden's plan calls for an end to the kind of zoning practices that protect the American dream of suburban living for all Americans, regardless of race or creed. Biden's plan to end single-family resident zoning would densely urbanize many of the places that we call home. Biden's plan specifically references the Home Act of 2019. The Home Act details quite plainly the Democrats' goal of choking the suburbs with high-density housing. And the left does this while the cities that they have controlled for decades, like Los Angeles, San Francisco, or Detroit, fall into squalor and ruin. The mainstream media may try to fact-check these claims. They have in the past. Thankfully, there are fact-checkers fact-checking the fact-checkers. The National Review has already debunked the media's false narrative about a quote-unquote moderate Joe. Just listen to Biden laying out some of the plans for what the Democrats euphemistically call affordable housing.
We'll also build 1.5 million new energy-efficient homes and public housing units that will benefit our communities in 3 times over by eliminating the affordable housing crisis, by increasing energy efficiency, and by reducing the racial wealth gap linked to home ownership.
And here is Kamala Harris, true to her California roots, stating that she believes housing is a civil right.
20 million renters are looking at eviction. We have at least 15 million homeowners that are looking at foreclosure. And as far as I'm concerned, housing should be considered a civil right.
For years, left-wing thought leaders have pushed a sort of fetishized hyper-urbanization, despite the strong correlations between population density and both property crime and violent crime, and despite the strong correlations between increased living space and quality of life. And these left-wing elites know that it is a lie. In dense urban cities, the left-wing elites are able to afford the space that the shrinking middle class would otherwise take for granted in a suburban community. And many of this class of liberal oligarchs maintain the modern equivalent of country estates. Despite their sneering at capitalism, which as of late seems to be trained just as much on the mom-and-pop businesses forced to close because of the reaction to COVID-19 As it is on any big business, many of these leftist elites seem like they would feel at home in Dickens-era London, as long as they were not the ones in the tenements. Don't let the left convince you that hyper-urbanization somehow represents progress, and that the wheel of progress needs to grind on. There are parts of who we are that are worth preserving. New construction should fit within and enhance the beauty of the community it inhabits, and the people who live there have both a right and a responsibility to demand this.